Glacier Dog, the Brooklyn Dog, and the Gym Dog. Can't forget the Shane Dog, or the Joy Dog, and the Monty Dog. I like that fool. The Nakia Dog and the Braxton Dog round things off. Why, they even got a kids menu too.
Loafing Dog, 208 East Chambers Street, Cleveland, Texas. Lunch, catering, or takeout, plus outdoor seating. Phone number is 817-556-1040.
This is Wilford Brimley. And don't forget, Loafing Dog won't give you diabetes.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leech Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson, Cleveland, Texas. Leech Brothers has been family-owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Reach Across Johnson County segment on Joco Community Radio. You can join us live here on Facebook or download the TuneIn Radio app. It's free, where we are live 365 on Joco Community Radio, the voice of Johnson County, Texas. Give you a little information on Reach. Reach's mission is to support safe and healthy choices vital to the well-being of our youth, families, and community. This show will guide you, educate you, and inspire you to be a part of the solution and to reach out and help make a difference in our communities. What began as a local movement in the city of Midlothian grew to include programs throughout Ellis County with only a few years, and eventually expanded into neighboring Johnson County, Texas. And here we are today. And we've got our topic today. We're going to be visiting with our friends from the Center of ASD. And I have my co-host here with me today. Again, I am Sherry Phillips. I'm the community liaison at Reach Council. And to my left is...
My name is Emily Stuffelbein. I am the COVID project coordinator.
And my name is Ashley Petkin. I am the Johnson County Coalition Coordinator.
And then we have two very special guests with us this evening. We've got Lisa Boultinghouse. She is the founder and CEO for the Center of ASD. The organization was founded in 2009 in an effort to break down all the barriers that her family was facing personally because of their youngest son being diagnosed with autism. Lisa and her husband, Brad, have been married for 18 years and have 3 boys, Anthony, Nate, and Gabe. And she is now an advocate for families and with special needs and speaks openly about her own struggles with anxiety and depression. And the Center of ASD now serves more than 150 individuals a month through their various programs. And then with Lisa, we have Denise Savoy. She is the family liaison, and I don't have a bio, so I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about your role.
Okay, well, I do different things at the center. I'm also the high school teacher. I am Thrive coordinator. I deal with our staffing as far as making sure that we have subs when we need them. But family liaison and teacher are probably my biggest roles.
Your biggest roles?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the most time consuming ones anyway.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us this evening. And so we're just going to kind of jump right in. Lisa, can you tell us a little bit about the center?
The Center for ASD, we exist to fill the gap that families need who struggle or who have loved ones who are affected by autism and other special needs. So when we were founded, it was because of autism, because of my son, but we quickly learned that it was an across the board kind of issue. There were lack of resources for all kinds of things, for all kinds of family needs. So basically we serve the gap. We do a lot of things. Our youngest participant is 2. Our oldest participant is 62.
Oh, wow.
People ask, when are you going to, what's going to be the age cutoff? When are you going to stop, stop accepting participants? And I'm like, we can't stop. That's what people don't understand. Our kids don't just go away because they get old.
Right.
They still need resources. We just have to adapt those resources to their needs.
Do y'all have a certain, is there, I know you said that there's not necessarily a cutoff, but are y'all at a capacity to where you would have to expand, or how does that work?
We do have some days. So we work according to the family's needs. So if a family needs or wants their child to be with us Monday through Friday, that's great. If they don't, if they just want Monday and Wednesday, that's great. And that's part of what Miss Denise helps with, is seeing what days are full, what days we're at max capacity, and what days we still have room.
Okay.
So we do have a few days that are at max capacity. We have some that aren't, and we're looking to grow into this next in August. We just need to find the right staff to come alongside of us to catch that new group of participants.
That's awesome. Okay, so I have a silly question. Well, maybe it's not silly. So what does ASD stand for then?
Autism spectrum disorder.
Autism spectrum disorder. Okay. I see acronyms at times, and it's like, I should know what they are. And then I thought, well, maybe I'm not the only one that didn't know what it is. So
well, don't feel bad, because I didn't know today was Wednesday, and we really I surprised myself when I found out we were in March. I'm like, when did March happen?
Oh, is that? I know, we're halfway
and like
through.
we're halfway through it now.
Yeah, can you believe it? Goodness. Okay, well, let's talk about some of your specific programs that y'all offer.
Okay, we have lots of evening programs. Do you want to talk about the evening?
Sure. Our main one is Thrive.
Okay.
That they're separated by age groups, so we have different ones that occur on different Fridays. First and third Friday is preteens and teens. Second and fourth Friday is our adult program, or Adult Thrive. And then on Mondays, first and third Mondays, we have our First Steps group, which is our littles. So it's all the ones under
the little bitty kids?
6 years old. Yeah, they're fun.
So what do those programs provide?
They're social skills groups.
Okay, because I was going to ask. So Thrive covers, so it's social skills that y'all work with them on.
Right. And it's not necessarily that we sit and focus and work on social skills or do social stories or anything like that. It's just a safe space for them to come and kind of make friends more organically.
Okay.
And like I said, we just provide that safe space for that. They can choose different activities to do. They can watch a movie, or they can play board games. Uno is always a favorite.
Yes.
But we provide that space and those different activities where they can meet people who they have things in common with, and then they go on to form friendships and have birthday parties, and get to be a part of just typical teenage adult life.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things is, our goal is to help them create those relationships, so that way they are not doing life alone.
Right.
So our evening, like Denise said, we do, the various evening programs, but also a lot of people ask, well, if they're not part of your daytime program, can they still attend your evening programs? They absolutely can. Okay. You don't have to attend all of our programs or any of our programs if you just want to attend. If a parent just wants to attend parent group and their loved one doesn't want to attend the center, we invite that parent. We're like, come on, come sit with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So during the day, we have our daytime programs where we run it's our education enrichment program. It's an alternative to homeschool or an
Okay.
alternative to traditional school. That's where Miss Denise is the high school teacher. So she has 7 boys on your 8 boys on your biggest day.
Oh, wow.
Or and they, again, it's where we're filling the gap. So, we're not in any competition with schools. We're not trying to be in competition. I support the school district 100% and over. Just my son was one of those kids that he didn't have any behavior issues. He wasn't loud. He wasn't going to talk. He wasn't going to disrupt the teacher. So they were just letting him sit in a 5th grade classroom and just sit all day. And when I approached the teacher about it, she said, it's okay, Miss Boultinghouse. It's okay if he doesn't learn. He'll still be promoted because he's sped. And I understand that's nobody's fault. She honestly thought that she was helping me feel better about it. Fact of the matter is, as a parent, I need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to help him learn when he is able to, what he is able to learn.
Yes.
Even if that means that he's learning to, do something in your class, if he's learning. The other day I walked into their class and she was like, "What's an adjective?"
A noun.
A
It was
noun.
a noun.
She was like, "What's a noun?" So they do it just like school. They have English, reading, math, all the things. And my kids spit out, "It's a person, place, or thing." And she said, "Or," and then what did he say?
Idea.
Or an idea. And I'm like, I wouldn't even have said
No.
that. But the fact that he's learning, and though, she may have 8 kids, but they're all at different levels.
Okay.
So that's why we keep it small, so she and our other staff can adapt whatever curriculum they're using to the different needs of everybody. Because my Gabe is probably on a 5th grade level, whereas someone else might be on a 3rd grade level, and someone else might be on a 9th grade level.
Okay.
So we just adapt. And when they graduate, because we're in the great state of Texas and we can graduate homeschool. So when we graduate them from our program, our Excel program, then they move downstairs into our Reach program, which is our adult program.
Okay.
That's what it is. And that program, that is where we try to give adults purpose.
Okay.
Everybody wants purpose just because they have special needs or just because they have limitations. We help them find what they do excel at or what they do really enjoy. So we make candles now because one of our participants loved candles and he wanted to make candles and he wanted to mix the scent. So now we make candles, and now they make candles and sell them at the farmer's market.
Oh, wow.
Where
That's
they go
awesome.
volunteer and do the customer service and, make those interactions. So what we try to do with our adults is, give them purpose, but also we try to put them out in the community so the community can see us and know we can be consumers. We can support your small business. We can do this. We can do that. We just have to help them do it differently. We have to help them do it so they're effective.
Right. Well, see, and I guess, personally, I haven't been around too many, kids or adults that had autism. I had a neighbor briefly, that lived across from us, and I do know that he loved to play his video games. And I mean, he was awesome at that as well. But as far as to communicate, I think he had some difficulty communicating with anybody other than his mom and his dad or his brother and sister. And so I'm not that familiar. And so, I mean, I'm kind of wanting to be educated a little bit tonight on what all, how do you know if your kid has autism and things like that? Can you help me?
Well, technically, we all have characteristics.
Right.
Just with kids on the spectrum, they have a whole bunch of them instead of 1 or 2.
Okay.
So if you chew your nails, if you click your pen, if you shake your knee, we all have them. It's just with our individuals on the spectrum, you're just getting a whole bunch of those characteristics, a whole bunch of anxiety. And I like to say that every morning, I like to tell people every morning, you have to remember that our kids on the spectrum, they wake up on the threshold of too much. They wake up to too much already. The lighting, the noise, the whatever, the temperature in the room. So, it's different factors that play whenever you're trying to get a diagnosis. They diagnose really early now.
Okay.
Whereas when Gabe was younger, he's 15 now. When he was younger, they wouldn't diagnose before 5 or 6 years old, and now they diagnose at like 2,
Really?
which is great. Early
Okay.
intervention is amazing.
Yes.
But they have different characteristics. It's just a whole big combination of things. So there are certain signs, that people try to watch out for, like, are they making eye contact? Are they sensitive to noise? Are they sensitive to, do they have sensory issues with food? Like they don't want to eat certain types of food, certain textures, don't want to touch certain things. Do they line their toys up?
Okay.
Things like that. That's kind of like what Gabe's.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Do we line up toys?
Yeah.
Because that's a big one. Do we really like straight lines? Even putting markers, stacking markers on top of each other, and just getting that nice long straight line is
Okay.
So.
Well, that's interesting.
So I'm not too familiar with it either, but I have a really close friend. Her son was diagnosed with it when he was about 3, and or maybe it was 4. I know that the main issue that they noticed was he just wasn't able to talk for a long time. But he was able, or no, he started going to like a program like y'all's, but he was recently, I don't know how he transitioned, but it was a big deal that he was able to go into regular classes and regular school now. But I remember like that was my first exposure to autism, and everyone had always said like, well, if people with autism are typically, they would say antisocial, or not as affectionate.
Right.
But this little boy, every time I would go over, he was all over me.
Right.
And I was like, he's not like that at all. And I had trouble identifying it in him either, other than his speech issues. But I feel like you could have that even without being diagnosed with autism, you know?
You definitely can. And that's, some of the things like you don't know. Like Gabe was progressing like a typical child, and then he started regressing at like 18, 19 months. So he was talking, and then he stopped talking, and then he didn't talk for a couple of years until we put him on a gluten-free diet and supplements and things like that that honestly I believe helped him. So it's kind of hit or miss. Like he wasn't affectionate at that time, and now he's 180 pounds and climbs in my lap, and I'm like, I think autism, it was like classic autism for a while, and it's what everybody thought they knew or understood is, they don't talk, they rock, they flap. And do things like that. And now it's just so wide.
Yeah.
And I didn't know autism until my kid. And we still don't know autism some days.
It's such a broad spectrum. And I mean, a lot of people think that autism has to be severe, like there's absolutely no speech, there's the rocking, or there's the aggressive behaviors, and that's all of this, or it's not autism. But it's just completely different in everybody. No,
and it's completely
autism is the same,
and it's completely different day to day. Like day to day, it's different.
So is it caused from overstimulation sometimes, or?
No, I mean, it's not caused by one thing. They don't know what causes it. Can we have meltdowns because they get overstimulated or understimulated? Absolutely.
Okay.
But they don't, they think it's genetics. Some people think that, it's immunization. Some people think that it's something in the additives and foods and everything that we eat. A lot of people like to sit and debate about things like that. And I don't, because I feel like we don't have time.
Yeah.
Why do I want to sit in this argument and waste time when we could be building programs to help benefit these families?
So when a student comes in and everything, you kind of build around what their needs are.
That is how we have grown. Yes.
Okay.
Every program we have built has grown out of a need that we saw of one of our participants. As they got older, we saw, this needs to happen. And as they started, and there comes a time. So I'm just going to be honest, and I hope I don't make people mad, but as a parent, there had to come a time in my journey where I had to realize the typical school setting is not what Gabe needs.
Right.
Gabe needs to learn functional math, functional reading, but Gabe also needs to learn how to cope. He needs to, coping skills. He needs to learn how to be patient. He needs to learn how to be kind. He needs to learn, directions, sense of directions. He needs to learn how to talk. And so that's the thing. It's like, it's just, that's where we go. That's what we try to do at the center is.
So I mean, everything that you mentioned is things that we want all of our kids to be able to do, but it's just a matter, they need to learn a little differently.
They need to learn differently, and they need lots of repetition.
Okay. That makes sense.
So for instance, telling Gabe where it was, I think last summer, I was like, hey, Gabe, go put this in the pantry. And he stood in the kitchen and just kind of looked around. And he was like, what are you talking about? Well, it's the door, the pantry door. And he was like, what are you talking about? He walked into the laundry room, and I had to tell him, this is the pantry door.
Okay.
And we had to do it time and time again, because otherwise every door is just a door.
Okay.
And if you don't name it, it doesn't make sense to him.
Okay.
So a lot of repetition.
Yeah, it wasn't something that he just picked up on naturally.
Oh, tell him about the
Oh, right. Okay. So it wasn't, like I was saying, it wasn't something that he just picked up naturally, where how kids will figure out like what a person's name is just from hearing it and, associating it with this, or this is the door to the pantry.
Okay.
So yeah, one of Lisa's favorite stories is I was asking Gabe to get me the lint roller off my desk. And I was telling him, Gabe, hand me the lint roller off the desk. And he's kind of motioning his hand over different things on my desk, like different items, kind of like hot and cold. And he'd like hover his hand over something. And I'm like, no, the lint roller. And he'd move over and I'm like, no, lint roller. And he'd kind of keep searching. And so finally I told him the thing that I used to get glitter off of Tucker. And he knew exactly what I was talking about. But
that's how he associated
it. Didn't have a name before that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
well, okay. Was your son able to read? Like, did he pick up reading okay, or?
He reads. He's always been able to read. He reads actually like a champ. He struggles with comprehending what he reads.
Okay.
But it's also pretty interesting that his text is more fluid than what he vocalizes to me. So he texts with proper punctuation. Denise is super proud because she's a grammar Nazi, and he uses, apostrophes and all that kind of stuff. And it's just more fluid coming out of a phone, which is, I think it's just a different way. I think he's not under stress because if he's texting, he's by himself and he's doing it off of his device. No one's in his face. No one's waiting for a response. No one's expecting anything from him at that moment. So I think he can just put it together a little bit more fluid.
Right. And no one's going to correct him if he says a word incorrectly or something.
Right.
There's no pressure involved with texting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
But Gabe also says he does not have autism.
Right.
So so we went to a concert a few weeks ago, and we weren't sure of what the restrictions were going to be, and he's very concerned about wearing a mask. He feels very suffocated by a mask. And so he was like, well, if you need to tell them I have a condition. And I was like, okay. And I was super excited because we've had this conversation a couple times before, and he's like, I do not have autism. I speak well. And I'm like, okay, but he was like, tell them I have a condition. I was like, oh, what condition do you have? And he was like, I don't know. Just tell them I have a condition. And I'm like, Gabe, I'm like, Gabe, you have autism. And he was like, no, I don't. He was like, I speak well. And I'm like, okay. So there's just,
so even for him, autism means nonverbal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and you never know. We have individuals that drive to us. We have an individual that drives to us. We have an individual
every day from Watauga.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, and she needs help with her social skills and her order of
like task orders.
Yes, there we go. That's why I brought her.
It's very much like the first then, not a whole long list of do this, do this, do this.
Right.
It's just two. First, then. Once those two are done, come back and we'll first, then it again.
Well, that's interesting. And she's able to drive, and that is pretty awesome.
We actually have, we have another adult participant that drives.
Now.
Yeah, he drives
he
to
started
thrive.
driving. I don't think he's
to
thrive.
That would be our third.
Yeah, we have. I mean, you just never know.
No, I think that's awesome. Because a lot of people, like you're saying, the spectrum is so broad. How, they might be on the higher end. I don't know, but just I don't know. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I had to go by was, what they show on TV, and I know that's not always correct, but then there's different things.
It's not always Rain Man,
right? Right. They show Rain Man, or they show Doctor,
the Good Doctor.
The Doctor, right?
I love that show, by the way.
And it's just there's not a lot of in between of what real life
is really like. Okay,
No,
so y'all see a little bit of everything then.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Speaking
really
of
cool.
TV, that's how I started. Like my sister is a special ed teacher. My other sister is a special needs nurse. So that's their whole world. That's their thing. But I thought I knew something. I thought. And then I started watching this. It's a TV show, and it's about a little boy who has autism. Of course, they give him the classic autism, but I got so interested, and I was like, apparently I know nothing. So I started researching everything, and then how autism is different in boys and girls. And so I bought a book on that and just started reading it. I don't know what for, but I started reading it. It's just crazy.
It's really it's very interesting and everything, because I mean I've seen different shows where they show, I mean, where some of the kids are highly intelligent. They absorb a lot of stuff, and I mean their recall on some things, it was amazing. So like I said, I've seen all different kinds, so I wasn't really sure what
I would say a majority of our kids have that recall.
Okay.
Gabe's is movies, definitely movies. It's intros to movies, so like MGM and Paramount and stuff.
And the MGM Lions.
Yeah, he can tell you all the MGM Lions, like, they roar. He can tell you the order that they came, what year they were the MGM Lion, and if they roared, and if they didn't roar, what lion roared for them. So he has amazing recall when he wants to. And I mean, when he was younger, and it's funny because I talk to a lot of parents who see this, but he basically, whenever he started talking again, it was through echolalia, which is what they call whenever someone's echoing basically what they're hearing. So he watched a lot of Dora. So he'd be like, let's go, but he also watched Thomas the Train, and he watched Thomas the Train in all different languages and everything. And one day he was sitting on the floor at my brother-in-law's house, and he was talking. I didn't know what he was talking about. And my sister-in-law was like, what is he saying? I was like, I don't know. She sat down next to him and she started talking to him. She was like, Lisa, he's speaking French. He learned it. He picked it up. Like because it was in something that he really liked.
Yeah.
Because he really liked Thomas the Train. He, was liking the accents, was liking all that. And he taught himself that for a little bit. I don't know if he can do it very much now, but it's amazing. When they're interested in something, they get in it.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, I know. So, are there more specific programs that y'all want to touch on other than? So, we mentioned Thrive. You've got the enrichment program, and
our adult program,
in your adult program,
which is Reach.
Okay,
and then
I'll be able to remember that.
And then and then Excel is our school day program.
Okay,
and we'll have camp this summer.
Okay,
First Steps, which is
our evening
for our littles. Yeah.
Okay. Is that the only class that y'all have for the littles is First Step?
Currently.
We're getting ready to have First Steps camp this summer for the first time.
And we have had several parents who have come to us kind of in a panic, who've just gotten the diagnosis and have no idea where to go and what to do next. And, are worried about going to regular school or if they should homeschool, and, just trying to find different options. So we have also discussed that it might be getting close to time for us to get that pre-K kind of kindergarten age Excel going at some point.
Do y'all help evaluate what they might need, or
we have someone who can do that?
Okay.
Well, as far as diagnosis,
yes.
But when they come in for an initial intake and to tour the facility and things like that, that's when we kind of assess which programs would be the best fit for them.
Okay.
And if we're even a good fit. We are very honest with families, and we tell them, we are sorry, but we are not where we would not be able to serve your loved one the way that they deserve to be served at this time.
Okay.
We don't have all the resources, and we're aware of that.
Okay. Well, that's good information. Well, I know we're fixing to go into our commercial break. And so when we come back, we're going to talk to you about how the center does assist families, and then also the impact on families. So everybody stay tuned, and we will be right back.
At Romika Designs, we're more than just a laser engraving and specialty design company. Much more. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs, and if you can dream it, we can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logo designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Romika Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at romikadesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and would be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
You're listening to JoCo Community Radio.
And welcome back to the second half of Reach Across Johnson County segment on JoCo Community Radio. JoCo Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 365 on TuneIn Radio Network. To listen, go to tuneinjoco.com and download the free app. All of our shows can be found on any one of your favorite podcast platforms, such as Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and Spreaker. Check out the lineup and more on jococommunityradio.com. Thanks for tuning in. This episode and more is brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Nona Reed, at 844.tex.hail. That's 844-839-4245. And today we are talking with Lisa and Denise with the Center for ASD. And we've been talking, they come and fill us in on autism and the various programs that they offer at their center. And we kind of wanted to talk to you now about how the center does assist your families that participate.
We assist families by helping them improve their quality of life.
Okay.
And when I first started saying that, people were like, quality of life, isn't that kind of end of life talk? Isn't that, more medical? And I'm like, no, quality of life just in general is how they feel on a day-to-day basis, and how we feel as parents and people. We want to improve our quality of life, right? We want to do better. We want to take care of ourselves better. Just the thing is there are so many people doing it alone, because it's exhausting. And, we did a survey between our families, with our families, and it was like, from the time that you hear about us, how long does it take you to reach out to us to find out about our services? They're like 6 months. Okay.
Really?
From the time that you reach out to us, how long does it take you before you start attending our programs? They're like about 6 months. Because as a mom with a child who has autism, it's exhausting. It's exhausting, and you're afraid. Okay. Such a large percentage of individuals with special needs are sexually or physically abused throughout their life. And when that percentage could potentially be your own child, you're like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. We're okay. We're okay being holed up in our house. And really, that's not okay. So we really just try to help them feel better. And it's so much easier doing life with people like Miss Denise and the rest of our staff who we know love our kids.
Right.
They love them. And when we correct somebody when they're at the center, if they hug too much, and we have to tell them, no, we can't hug. You just can't meet somebody and walk up to them and hug them, because we know outside of our center walls, it could look inappropriate, and it could be deemed as an inappropriate situation. And we're trying to protect our families. So everybody knows, if we're correcting in the center, we're correcting with love, because we're trying to make sure that they're prepared for situations outside of our walls, instead of something happening outside of our walls and nobody being prepared and the whole situation going south,
Right.
So that's a lot of what we do. We support our families. We, have moms retreats. We host parent group. We have a lot of siblings who come and volunteer with us. We're trying to get a sibling shop, a sip shop going soon. We host lots of family events. So we hosted our family event this past,
Our spring break
yeah,
kickoff.
our spring break kickoff that y'all supported,
Which was awesome.
And we had a ton of families show up, a ton of new families show up, and it was just nice seeing parents be able to just sit. And because also one thing that we deal with new families is they come in and they don't want to be the ones that come in with the weird kid or the loud kid or the kid that and it's like, dude, we're all weird. We're all weird. They're all loud. Yours isn't any different from mine. Even though all of our kids are so different, our journey is so much the same, because it's a journey of anxiety and stress and fear.
We had a dad that came to our Parent Thrive Night, which we have 2 a month for our different age groups. But he came for the first time, and he told Lisa, he said, I feel like I'm just finally around people who speak the same language as me.
Right.
And just people that get it. And it was the first time. And I think his child was 16, 17 years old. And that was the very first time he felt like he was in a group with
people that understood
other parents that even spoke the same language.
That makes
So
sense.
And it's hard, because no matter how much you love your family loves you, and they love your child, it's still stressful when it's your family. They try to get it. They really try really hard sometimes. My family does. And I hope they're not mad at me for saying this, but you just still don't understand the amount of stress that I'm under as a mother, trying to make sure that my son has the whole rest of his life planned out.
Yes.
And for after I pass away.
Right.
So we try to relieve that stress and bring families together and bring parents together and moms together and dads together. I mean, it's crazy the relationships that our families make, even the relationships with the staff that the families make, because we try to build that community so that way they're not doing life alone. So, I mean, my goal is, as a mom, is that when I pass away, Gabe loses me, but Gabe has a whole big O family that's there to support him and help take care of him, along with his dad and his brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's constant.
I was going to ask a question, because on autism, I mean, I know that we all go through different changes in our life and have to adjust. So with a child that has autism, as they get into adults, do they have to learn things differently, or are they able to take the information that they learn on their skills and stuff? Will that always stick with them, or do they have to adjust?
It just depends, like what the goals are for the family, I know with Gabe, he loses skills if we're not practicing skills all the time. I think a lot of our kids do.
That's why we focus so much on, like, for instance, math, just functional math, the math that he's going to need, or that these kids are going to need every day. We don't try to build towards calculus, because I don't want them to learn how even to do like graphing or something, and then we forgot multiplication because we learned something new and we stopped practicing this. So a lot of it, like Lisa said earlier, with any of their learning and with all kids, is repetition and just making sure that we're mastering those functional skills rather than trying to build on it into something that's not useful for them.
Because at least with math and add addition, subtraction, and multiplication, they can use that in cooking. They can use that in daily life. And that's what we need. So it just kind of depends on what we're trying to teach our kids, what our goals are.
You know, you talk about the math and stuff and cooking. I didn't actually get fractions really good until I actually got into cooking a little bit more, and then it's like, oh my gosh, now it makes sense to me.
Mhm.
And but I'd wondered, if their learning was really that much different than how we grasp things. Like I said,
We
I
just
don't
have to
know.
slow it down a little bit.
Okay.
We have to slow it down and be more mindful of the steps that we take and how we plan and how we implement the learning for them
Okay.
to make sure that they
and
understand
teach it
it.
in different ways.
Okay.
I had one student ask me, we were working on multiplication facts, and we were doing one that it was kind of shaped like a target, I guess, if you can picture. And he was like, why are we doing this? We've already done these multiplication facts. And I was like, right, but we haven't done them this way yet. And for someone else, it might stick better this way.
Right.
And he was like, is that why you make us do the same thing like all the time? And I was like, yeah. And,
Okay.
like, well, if we're doing a lesson in science, we'll read a paragraph, but then we'll also watch like a short little YouTube video or something that goes with it. Because for Gabe, for instance, is going to get a lot more out of the video than even if he just read that whole paragraph to me out loud. He'll be able to tell me what happened in the video, but not what the paragraph is about.
I can see that because I'm the same. I'm a visual learner, and I can read something, but to implement it, I do better if somebody shows me what I need to do, and then it's like I get it a little bit quicker. So I don't know. This is all starting to make a little bit more sense to me because, like I said, I didn't have really a whole lot of clue on how all that works.
It's just us adapting to them and not trying to get them to adapt to us. And not trying to fit them in the mold of like, this is how I'm teaching, so this is how you have to learn it. It's more, finding out how do you learn so that I know how to teach you.
I'm so glad to know that there is a center like yours, because I know that there are families out there that maybe aren't aware of your programs and things like that, and then may need assistance and stuff. And so it's really great that y'all have this program. So and we may have already kind of touched on what are the impact on some of the families.
I think that's the biggest thing is what we touched on, the mental health of them.
Mental health.
Yeah,
Okay.
taking care of the mental health. Right.
And I want to, and I also want to add, like Lisa was saying, even just the parents knowing that their child is somewhere safe. We have our director, Ange, who said that when Tucker first started at the center, I think he was 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first place she ever felt comfortable bringing him to and driving away, and knowing that he was going to be fine, that he was going to be safe, he was going to be taken care of, that no one was going to be mean to him, and that she didn't leave worried.
Yeah.
And she said even when he was, younger and in public school, she's like said that she basically stalked him, and she'd sit across, in a parking lot
and watch.
Yeah. Just waiting in case she got a phone call and needed to come get him, that she was right there. And she said that the center was the first time she ever felt completely okay leaving him.
That's so important. Just as, as a parent, it's hard when you leave your kids, because I know, when I used to leave my kids at daycare, I'd leave crying, and it's like, oh, please let it be a good day. Let them not bite anybody or get bit and things like that. But
then think about it. So as a parent, you felt that, but as a parent of a child who can't tell you they were hurt, or who can't tell you someone was mean to them, or who can't, that's the fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's honestly the big thing that led to Gabe no longer going to traditional school. Was I found out from Gabe, and not so many words, that he was bullied by a teacher. And then when I reached out to the teacher, his main teacher at the time, I was like, hey, this is what he's telling me. It doesn't really make sense. And she was like, I saw it. She said, I saw it. It happened. What he's telling you makes total sense. I was
breaks
there.
My heart.
And that's what I'm saying. So if your child is one of that percentage that could be hurt, no thank you. And we've talked about it, about the center and how we do things. We know we have a good model, and we know what we're doing is right. And we're like, oh, what if someone comes and says, hey, we want to buy this from you and turn it into a great big therapy center and do this and do that, and we want to buy it from you. And we're like, we can't, because this is our life. This isn't just a
This
place
is just
of
a job.
business.
Yeah.
This
Right.
is our life on the line. So
Gosh, that's awesome. Well, mental health and what it looks like from a parent's perspective. And I guess you've kind of touched on that as well, as giving them the peace of mind to know that they have a safe place that they can leave their kids and know that they're being loved and well taken care of, and that they're learning something that'll help them. Is there anything else that y'all want to kind of touch on any of that before we start talking about your events?
Do you think, sorry, I had a
No,
question.
please,
Do
go
you
ahead.
think that, well, I guess it could go either way, but mental health kind of becomes bigger in someone's life if they have someone like a loved one with autism
absolutely.
or some sort of like,
Absolutely.
because it's not just autism you'll help others, but just in general, the whole
So like
thing.
in just the individuals we serve or in the parents?
The parents, I would assume individuals, they're just like us. I mean, they probably get anxious, they probably get nervous.
So anxiety is
all
a
the whole
big
thing.
characteristic of people on this, kids on the spectrum, individuals on the spectrum. But yeah, as a parent, you know, I started struggling with mental health 13 years ago. So when he was 2, that's how long I've been medicated. So yeah, that was 13, 14, almost 14 years ago. And it has gotten, it has gotten worse, but it's in a different way because I'm okay. I'm going to be 46 this June, and everything in me is like, I just need to make it. I need 10 more solid years at the center so I can find the right people that are going to carry it the whole rest of the way. And because as a parent, I'm just tired. I'm tired of worrying. I'm tired of being sad. And some people are like, why are you sad? This is God's plan. And I know it's God's plan. I know I have my faith. I believe that 1,000%, but it doesn't mean that I still can't mourn what I
Right.
thought I was going to have as a family, as a mother. You know, we were going to have this last baby boy, and we were going to have 3 boys, and our 2 youngest boys are like a year and a half apart. They were going to be best friends. They were going to play on the same teams. They were going to do all the things together. And my house is like a house divided. My husband goes one way with one kid, and I stay home with Gabe. And it's not what I intended it to be. So when people, you know, say, "Oh, we shouldn't be sad about that," I'm like, tell me you're never sad about it. I just happen to open my mouth and speak about it because I think there's too many of us that don't.
Yeah.
And I think they feel guilty for feeling that way. And if you are feeling guilty for feeling that way, you do not feel guilty for feeling sad, because it sucks.
Yeah.
It does. But I'm also grateful for the community of people that I have that have made my life so much richer. And I'm so much more appreciative. Like, we love harder as a family. We appreciate the little things. We laugh at lies and things that, you know, we're like, oh, Gabe lied today. Good job. Because he actually kept a secret from me, and he's never done that before. And that just happened the other night at the event. So, you know, people don't talk about that. And that's what brings problems. And I know that as someone who struggles a lot. But people don't speak about it because they feel like I don't know, like it should just be okay. It's just my life. It's okay to still be sad, and it's okay to tell people you're sad. Please tell people you're sad, you know, because that's what helps. That's what we have to unbox it. We can't sit
Gosh,
in
yes.
And I think people also unintentionally hurt when they're trying to help by pointing out, like, oh, you should be grateful that, you know, at least your child isn't like so severe that they have to be institutionalized, or, you know, be thankful that this isn't happening. But like Lisa said, it's not that she's not thankful for those things, but it doesn't mean that she can't still be sad about the fact that, you know, some of these kids will never get their driver's license.
Right.
Some of these kids are not going to go to prom. They're not going to have,
They're not gonna get married.
right. You're not going to have that typical or normal or whatever you want to call it life progression for your child. You're not going to see them hit all of these different milestones, you know. So when it comes time to where other kids Gabe's age are graduating high school. Yes, he will graduate at the center, but he's not going to have the big graduation like party with his friends because he doesn't want parties. He don't come to his house.
Don't invite him.
And don't invite
He doesn't
him
want to be
party.
invited.
He's super happy when it's your birthday, but please do not invite him to a party. And so and then there's not going to be packing up and going off to college and then meeting a girl and those milestones. And you can be sad about the fact that that's not part of your life.
Yeah.
And it's hard to accept also. And
we just can't sit in it.
Yeah.
You can go there, you can visit it every now and then, but we can't sit in it. We don't have time.
Yeah.
As a parent, I don't have time. As a parent, I'm constantly thinking I'm against a clock. How much longer can I go? How much longer, I'm when I started the center back in 2009, I honestly thought by this time we were going to have adult homes that we manage together as families, and we don't. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Gabe's almost 18 and we don't have that. I should have had that by now. Why don't we have this? Because Gabe needs to be someplace besides with me. And it's not because I don't love him and because I don't want to keep him forever, but sometimes what happens is parents are like, oh, my child's going to live with me for the rest of their life. Well, no. You're older than your child. You're going to pass away before your child does. And then your child isn't going to be prepared for what's going to happen. I want to prepare our kids in the community that we serve, so our kids aren't rocked to the core when their world changes because their parent is no longer here.
So is that a goal that you have then, is to have some sort of housing or something to, okay.
Yeah.
What do you need to be able to do something like that?
Lots of money.
Yeah.
If someone would just give me like $2 million today, it would make things so much easier on me. Unfortunately,
we have plans for what we do with it. We can show you our plans.
Yeah, we do. We have a whole plan. We've, Gabe has 2 older brothers, and I've had a conversation with both of them, and it is what it is. And we've asked them, do you want your brother when something happens to me and dad? And they're like, we want to be his brother, not his caretaker. Yeah. And I respect that 100% because I know how hard it is to travel with Gabe, and I know how hard it is to do all the things. But our goal is to have homes that we manage as families so that Anthony can take responsibility on Sunday night and Nate can take responsibility on Thursday night, and someone else's sibling or parent can take responsibility on the nights in between. So they all have a hand in the care, because again, remember that 85% of kids that get abused physically or sexually, that's not going to happen on our watch.
Yeah.
And that's why we can't just go in what already exists. People are like, well, there's all these programs that already exist and all these government well, that's where the 85% happens.
Yeah.
That's where it happens. And we want, as families, we want to have control over that and a peace of mind.
How many families do y'all have that?
We serve 150 individuals a month.
Wow.
So I honestly don't know how many families that turns out to. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot. And we're growing. We're meeting 4 to 5 new families a week that come in and want to see our programs and want to meet Denise and tour the facility. So
they're not just in the Johnson County area. You got them coming from other places.
Tarrant, Parker County. We've had some from Dallas, just on the edge, kind of closer to us, but I think Parker County is the furthest.
Wow. That's amazing. God bless y'all for everything that you go through and what you do to help these kids and to fill those gaps that you were talking about. I think, day to day, a lot of times, we forget. I mean, if it's not something that we're personally in, touches our lives or something like that, things kind of get lost. And so if you happen to have a $2 million and you want to help me,
you just want to give me a little piece of mind.
Yeah.
Give me a little piece of mind.
Because, that is really, I mean, I just thinking about that, if I had a child that was in a similar situation, I mean, that would be terrifying to think about, them being able to be taken care of and can function, and do things, without me. And I mean, as you were telling the story, I mean, I was feeling, your concern and your fear, and it's very, overwhelming. I feel for you.
I was just going to ask, because we appreciate your vulnerability.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's a whole perspective that I personally don't have. So it's it's one of those like eye-opening things.
Mhm.
But what would you say, or what kind of advice would you give another parent that was in your situation before, suffering maybe with depression or just major anxiety about their child and stuff like that? Like, what was it starting the center that helped you?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing this alone. I would tell him to come along beside us. There's so many of us that are on medication. Honestly, I would probably say a solid 97% of the moms that I'm surrounded by are medicated, or they do meditation, or they do other things to help manage their mental health. I would just recommend that they come along beside us, because we know we kind of pick up, and we do this as a staff too. We kind of pick up where people leave off. So if I'm having a down day, the other day I was walking around the center and she walked past me and she was like, "Why do you look sad?" And I was like, "Just one of those days."
Yeah.
Geez. So that's what I would recommend, because the life itself is hard, and everybody has hard stuff, right? I'm not discounting anybody from not having their own stuff. Just this life, if you don't live it, you don't know it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate people wanting to learn about it.
Yeah.
But if you're in it, I suggest that you surround people that are in your same situation to help you get through it.
Yeah, that would be a coping mechanism in itself, just being surrounded with other people that deal with the same things on a day-to-day basis.
And like Lisa said, also, if you are a parent and you want to be part of our Parent Thrive group, is what we call it, you do not have to have your child attend the center. There's one mom that reached out to us, and her son he drives, he has his own job, he's actually got an associate's degree, so super high functioning. But she was like, "But I need somewhere to go." And she's like, "Because I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to start making future plans, and like, I'm talked to family lawyers and things like that to get all these things put in place for him." And she was like, "I need somewhere to go." And it was like, "Well, come on, like," because she's like, he doesn't want to go to the center, he's happy doing his thing right now. And she said, "But I still need somewhere to go."
Yeah, that's amazing that y'all have that. Well, I want to make sure that we cover your upcoming events before we lose time. So you want to share some things that y'all have got coming up?
Yes. So the month of April is Autism Awareness Month.
Okay.
And on April 2nd, we are hosting a family event, a Light Up the Night,
Oh, yeah,
at the Burleson Recreation Center from 6 to 9. It's going to be a fun run and 5K. You can sponsor us. You can go to the website and sponsor us. You can sign up to run or to walk. You can also sign up for to host a fundraising page. If you want to host a fundraising page, we have incentives this year that if you raise $75, I think you get a beach towel.
Oh,
And then
cool.
the next 75, you get a beach towel and an umbrella. And like the next one, you get a beach towel, a water thing. And so we have cool things like that happening. On April 29th, we have our gala, which is going to be at the Burleson Community Event Center. It's 80s themed. So get your hair teased up and come join us. We need lots of sponsors, table sponsors, attendees. Go online and buy your ticket at centerforasd.org. And we also need help with auction items, so silent and live auction items.
Okay.
We need amazing items.
Is that one of y'all's biggest fundraisers that y'all do?
Yes, it is.
Okay, awesome.
Well, hold on.
ahead.
So real quick. So we have been told that we have matching funds. So they would match dollar per dollar up to $25,000, and we have reached 5,000 of those dollars. So if anybody listening wants to give us some matching funds, it's dollar for dollar.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much for being with us
Thanks
this
for having
evening. We
us.
really
Thank you,
appreciate
y'all.
it.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, JOCO Community Radio.
Hey, travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with Smart Fares. See, Smart